Welcome back to today's edition of The Agenda with me, Yvonne Ridley, and studio guests Colonel Bob Stewart, Fahim Wardog and Professor Patrick McCausland. As we went into the break, I asked who said, "Our friends have fought and bled and died alongside us in Afghanistan. Now we must come together to end this war successfully, for what's at stake is not simply a test of NATO's credibility. What's at stake is the security of our allies and the common security of the world." Well, they were the words of US President Barack Obama, but they're beginning to ring pretty hollow today, Professor. Would you say that was right? I mean, it's all about NATO, the troops, and not about Fahim's people.
I think there's something in that, yes. I think there is a confusion of aims in Afghanistan between fighting Al-Qaeda, insofar as Al-Qaeda still exists in Afghanistan, and providing proper security for the Afghans. And I think that there has to be a rethink of what troops are in Afghanistan for. And I think if there was the rethink, one would very quickly come to the conclusion that they should leave Afghanistan. I certainly take the view that, yes, the warlords should not have been made into the allies of NATO forces in 2001. There's no reason why they should not have been picked up and tried. But now the position is very difficult, I think, to try and grapple with them. But I think I would also say that, in my view, two of the most major failures of the Allied forces in Afghanistan since 2001 has been the failure to create a fair and efficient justice system, and a failure to create a fair and just system of land management. And these are two issues which, if they had been worked on right from the word go, would have caused the government to become much more legitimate among people, and would have probably undermined, in many respects, the powers of the warlords. But by declining to get to grips with the justice system, by declining to get to grips with the land, with providing fair systems of land tenure, you were basically given in to the warlords.
Now, Bob, you're standing as a candidate in the next general election. You've got a pretty safe seat. I think it's a racing certainty that you're going to be elected. Not only as a member of Parliament, but a member of the sitting government if the Conservatives win. What will you be advising the government then? It's a tough question, but you know, let's take a few.
Well, I would advise that we shouldn't be starting from here, as we know. The trouble is we are starting from here. And I want to go along the way that Fahim said. I want to get to the position that Fahim mentioned, where actually the people of Afghanistan have parties that they elect into a decent government, which is exactly what the professor said. So how do we do that? And your answer is remove the warlords. My question is how?
And what happens if the Afghan people pick a government that America or Britain doesn't like, as we saw with the people in Gaza?
Well, I'm afraid that's life. I mean, the one thing I am quite sure of is that the Afghan people want peace, security and safety. That's what they want. That's what they've not got. So how do we change the situation? It is not easy. None of us around this table could say, we all want to go to the position that Fahim mentioned, where the Afghan people govern themselves. And how to get there? Now, I have been involved in my life with the search for war criminals and the picking up of war. Indeed, I've given evidence at the ICT, International Criminal Tribunal for the former Republic of Yugoslavia, against war criminals, alleged war criminals who became war criminals because they were convicted. It is trying to pick up those people. What we want is to try and actually stop the insidious influence and control of whole swathes of Afghanistan by people who are only in it for themselves. That's the problem. Now, how do we get to that situation? Fahim says, arrest them. I say, arrest them. And then I follow that up by saying, how and who? Because actually, Western governments haven't done it. For example, I mean, I have to say, the West doesn't half get a beating up on this the whole time, but I would like a few other governments from the Middle East, perhaps, to come along and provide some solutions and some suggestions.
Do you think NATO would welcome that?
Sorry,
well, yes, I think they would.
No, I would say it's the number of troops are more than enough at the moment. We don't need any more.
We're not talking about troops. We're talking about image.
They can contribute financially. They can contribute in civil, other projects. But I will come back to Professor's point when he said the justice. Who is not allowing the justice to become credible in Afghanistan? It's again under the influence of the same human rights violators and warlords. The story of, in the break, I give you the story of Saima. What's happening? Why is not justice being dispensed?
Just for the benefit of our viewers, if you can go through Saima again. Well,
Saima was a girl, 12-year-old girl, gang raped in north of Afghanistan in Serpol province. She came to Kabul to seek justice. For parents, the family sought justice for 2 years. They could not get any justice. They came to Kabul, and Kabul she was not given justice, and there was reports on Al Jazeera and other televisions from our family members, we heard, her father being imprisoned for defaming a warlord. How burning this issue is burning the whole Afghanistan people. That's what the point is. Why the justice not being dispensed, why there is corruption, why Afghanistan cannot go toward democracy, why proper political parties are being sidelined, why all the why questions and how questions go all the way back to the door of warlords. Who support the warlords? The NATO and United States. And that's how Afghans are being forced to go to the mountains.
So I say if you bring the warlords, NATO and the United States out, what's going to happen?
Hang on a second. If you remove the warlords from the scene from Afghanistan, I guarantee 90% of the Taliban, the foot soldiers, would come back because they know their grievances and they have been dispensed justice. Well, and they would be happy. And the second, the 10%...
come back, you mean...
Come to the normal life.
Lay down their arms.
Lay down their arms. And they would be happy. The 10% leadership, just go after them where you arrested what's his name? Mullah Brother, Murad Abdel Ghani Brother.